This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Hey, everybody. I am here with Jeffrey Hayzlett, global business celebrity, super duper rock star, multi-best-selling author. Jeffrey, welcome.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks so much. I'm here in my hotel room in Florida. This was so important. I had to link up before I go catch a flight. So
glamour of life on the road. Glamour. I just want to say that your book, Think Big, Act Bigger, totally, completely awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
And even before we started the recording, I showed you kind of little Post-it flags along here. There are flags, and then there are pages where I just jumped up out of my chair, did a fist pump, and said, hell yes! Yeah, preach it, brother! You got it! That's it! I love it! So let me take you back, because this is part of Thinking Big. Even before this book came out, maybe even a year before this book came out, I heard you speak in New York City, and you referred to this book in progress as my next bestseller.
Yeah.
Not my next book, not my next project, my next bestseller. So let's start with that as a launching point. I mean, how did you come up with that incredibly positive, can-do, kick-ass, take names kind of thing? And then how do you apply it to projects like this that, it worked because a year later, boom, here you are, top of all the charts.
400,000 copies later, and still going to print. So, and this has been about 8 or 9 months since we launched. Yeah. The biggest thing is, you outline it right there in your book. It's right behind you. Do it marketing. You do it. You have to do it. It's one thing you have a plan, but the second thing you have to do is do it. And the biggest thing for a lot of folks that don't understand about a book, there will be 3 million new business titles out this year. Of the 3 million new business titles out this year, just in North America, before we even go to print, we've pre-sold like about 80,000 copies. So we know we're going to hit a bestseller. We know that that's what we're going to do. We start that a year ahead of time before the book comes out. A lot of people think when the book comes out, that's when my work really begins. Your work begins a year before, and your work begins the day after it comes out. You really have to start to work. It's not the end of the thing. It's the beginning of the journey. And you have about 18 to 24 months in order to really make the difference. For the most part, you need to make it in the first couple of months. The good news is as well, we did a deal with Barnes & Noble, and Barnes & Noble gave away a copy of our book with the purchase of every single Samsung Nook. That accounted for 80,000 copies right there in the first 3 months on top of what we pre-sold. So it was pretty good. We knew what we were going to get.
Wow. Well, let's do this. So that's kind of like the current Think Big, Act Bigger, the empire as it stands today. One of the most impressive things when I saw you speak in New York is, people look at you today and they say, oh yeah, he's a big guy, CMO, C-suite TV. He's got all this, he has this empire, but I can't do that. The part that they missed is that you started on this journey back in 1986.
Oh, yeah. I've been a member of the National Speakers Association for a long, long time. In 1986, I was 26 years old. Actually, I wasn't even 26 yet. I was 25 at the time when I joined NSA. And I started that journey with schlepping. I used to take my daughter, who was 5, 6 years old, with me on the road. And she was my person who sold tapes in the back of the road. A lot of people know my daughter, Lindsay, now, is working with me. My son, Tyler, is the business manager. So we've got the whole family involved. And another 20, 30, 40, 50 people. But we started just like everybody else. I mean, and I still make phone calls. I still make so many emails a day out to people and do the things you have to do. And you have to do it every day.
So talk to us about just sort of the chapter by chapter evolution of Jeffrey 1.0, 2.0. Now you're about 17.0, I think. But talk about kind of how you started and how the whole story sort of evolved. Because you did that very mindfully. Obviously stuff happens to all of us. But you had a very mindful plan, maybe not from day one, but as things started to roll forward. Walk us through that.
Yeah, I would think my life up until Kodak, up until I became a Fortune 100 officer, was all about driving business and doing my own businesses. I bought and sold over 250 businesses in my career. And then as I started making my way through, I started adding more and more zeros and got to be running billion-dollar companies instead of million-dollar companies or multi-million-dollar companies. And then I went to Kodak. And when I was at Kodak, I said, look, the average length of a tenure of a CMO of a Fortune 1,000 company, I was a Fortune 100 company, was 18 months. So I knew in less than 2 years, I'm getting fired, or I've got to get out. I mean, that's just the numbers. And so knowing that, I said, look, what am I going to do while I'm there? Now, I ended up staying for 4 years, which was fairly phenomenal at that time. It's less so now because more and more people it's longer and longer today, but there was very volatile times at that time. We're talking about 6 years ago. And I stayed. And while I was there, I said, look, when I leave, I'm going to start up the Jeff Hayzlett brand again. I'm going to go out and do a television show because I'd been doing 3 years as a judge for Celebrity Apprentice. I had the knack for it. I knew that, they were always calling me, wanting me to do things. And I said, I'm going to go do that. And it took me 3 years from the time I left Kodak, okay, with all the resources that I had to get that show on the air. And then I created what we call a brand of Jeff Hayzlett internally. That's what we call. We treat myself like a third party and a separate product. And we market it just exactly like that.
But then you've got like online platforms, you've got a PR firm. So how did all of that start to spring up? And how do you stay focused?
Well, you got to have good people, and you have to have good goals, good what I call conditions of satisfaction, which I write about in the book. So having what I want to be able to do. So, I said I need to have a business that can generate me some cash while I'm building that Jeff Hayzlett business, because that's okay, but it's not going to get me great wealth in order to get wealth. So I said, I'm going to start Tallgrass, which is our PR firm that generates the cash. Then I said, as we do that, we had in mind that we're going to create what we call the C-suite network, most trusted network for executives, higher end executives, those, VPs or above at $5 million or above. And this is about 3 million businesses in North America. And we were going to aim at building a network. So we have one, content that we create. I create a great deal of the content. A lot of it comes from people like you and others that we also generate, have a community that we serve and sell it to, and a engine that sells it to them, in essence, delivers it up. And that's what we did. So we created the ecosystem, the community for that, and then we go out and get the content. And we monetize it all, every bit of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and from a personal perspective, I love that you say that you have help because, people need to know that at some point your business has to scale above and beyond you. One of the things out of many, many, many is the pyramid, right? The triangle that is the most more sum. And looking at yours, I'm like, oh my God, this is what he's focusing on. Imagine all the stuff he's not able to focus on. So talk about most, more, and sum and how that has been a lifesaver.
A lot of people have flip the triangle over and put the most important things at the top, and, next and least important, and then least important at the very bottom, all important because they make the triangle, right? What your goals are. But I said, look, let's put this over so visually I can see how much time I should be spending on those things as opposed to what's the ranked importance. And that gives me a visual representation. I'm a very visual person of saying, if I have both tier pyramid, I got this pyramid and I got the inverted pyramid, and this is my time, I take the tiny little things at the very top, most important, I spend the most time on those. And, and I fail at it all the time too. Squirrels pop up all the time, and then I get distracted every day. I mean, I got to get through today because today I've got to spend a lot of time getting rid of these squirrels that are on my desk to focus more of my time on the fewest number of things, because if I'm doing that, I'm driving the business. And that's a very, very important lesson I learned a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love there's a whole chapter, there's a whole section about kill the squirrel. And it's great that you acknowledge that even today, as hugely successful as you are, as busy as you are, when you'd think, well, I'm really busy with these high priority projects, there's no more squirrels. There's always going to be squirrels.
Yeah, let me give you a good example. I'm about to raise a small fund for some of the stuff that we're going to do because I wanted to have some more cash coming in. So it's a couple $1 million, not a big amount, still a couple $1 million. So for a couple of months, we were saying, okay, we're going to do it. And finally, my CEO partner said, when are you going to get serious about this?
Right.
And I went, crap. Okay, kill the squirrels. And then, I sent out 40 letters. We raised over $1 million in 2 days. Okay. And I've got to go send out a few more letters, which are going to go out today. And I'll raise the rest of it by the weekend. Hello, I should have done that 2 weeks ago. I should have done that 2 months ago. And it's really that simple. In the book, there's pages and pages of excuses that we hear from other people or that we create ourselves. We're our worst enemies. If you want to do more in sales as a speaker, pick up the freaking phone, do more emails, get out there and make cold call, prospect, do whatever you have to do. Just do it. And no one's putting a gun to your head and saying, I'm going to shoot you if you do that. And we are our own worst enemies. And not just speakers, but everybody in general, human beings. That's just what we do.
Yeah. And it's so funny. When I read this book, part of the reason that I'm fist pumping and bookmarking, I read the first half of the book on the plane. And then I read the second half in the hotel room when I landed, because it's so fast paced. And again, we're on the same wavelength. So I'm like, yes, buddy, yes.
Yeah.
No one's going to die. No one's going to die is one of my favorite concepts. It's like, as you're saying, pick up the phone, dream big, implement big, act as if, right? Act as if. That's not, and there's a difference there between what we all hear is a fake it till you make it. This is not about faking it. This is about doing it so that you make it.
Right, exactly.
The action steps.
If you're faking it, if it's a faking it, that's your brand. People know it. They sense it. They smell it. They taste it. They see it. So you can't do that. It's about the doing and saying, no, we are going to stand for these standards. And sometimes, when you do that, when you make certain declarations and you do it, you sometimes lose. You go backwards. You're going to say, I'm not going to take a fee cut. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And you have to balance some of those things. And sometimes you have to learn that when I say, I'm not going to, well, I am going to this one time. You have to learn to, eat your words a little bit too, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about just some advice, because, there's so much conflicted advice out there about speakers, consultants, experts, thought leaders, authors, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. So let's say that we're talking to somebody who's maybe in your shoes 10 years ago, right? Successful executive or entrepreneur. They're looking at going out, starting their own show. What would be some do's and don'ts, some tips and traps as you see them in today's landscape?
Number one, focus. So have a real focus on what you want to do. I think we don't spend enough time. 2, your conditions of satisfaction. What is it you want to get out of the business? What are you willing to forgo? How much money are you willing to lose for the first year or 2? Okay. How much pain are you willing? How much money are you willing to put on the credit cards? How much money you want to borrow from family, friends, whatever you got to do your business. Now, if you're a speaker, I'll give you a good example. I love to do this one because everyone will say, well, you got to have this, you got to have that, you got to do that. And that's bullshit. Basically, do what you want to do the way you want to do it. Now, is that right? Is it the best way? Probably not. But you know what? It's the way you want to do it. And that's okay. Somebody was talking about their speaker sheet the other day. I was watching a forum and they go, oh, it's a must have. And I went, well, maybe I should get one. I don't know. I never had it. I didn't have a video of my speeches for the first 2 years of me going out and doing this again 6 years ago. And so finally I put one together because it was kind of embarrassing not to have one. And I'm on television all the time and I should probably have one. So we threw one together.
And, one of the things that I just had the same conversation about the video, speakers who are purely speakers and that do the kind of the speaker show, like the dog and pony show, they might need to have the video. They might have to have the video. Most of us, however, are problem solvers. And problem solvers are not hired because, did you see the special effects on that video? Problem solvers are hired because companies and associations and groups, they've got problems and they see you as the answer. So they bring you in. And it's about relevance. It's about value. And I love what you said about the authenticity that you have to do it your way.
Let me give you a couple more. My PR company and social media company that we own is called Tallgrass. And the slogan for it is, if you want to run with the big dogs, you got to learn to piss in the tall grass. Now, some people are offended by that. If you're offended by it, that you're not the kind of customer or client we want. It's there for a reason to state exactly who we are, the attitude you're going to get, and the way in which we're going to do it. I'll give you a couple other examples for speakers, what I think is great. A lot of people say you should never speak for free. What are you, an idiot? In my opinion, look, I get invited by Intel Capital, all right? I have been the only speaker in their history of this summit that they put together. I've been invited back 3 times over the last 6 years. And that is a group where there's 1,500 CEOs of some of the most successful companies in tech, and they want me to speak on stage. Are you crazy? Of course I'm going to speak for free because I walk off that stage, I book at least 10 minimum speeches, full fee. I get invited to do consulting projects, and I get invited to some boards, and I just recently cashed out of one of those, okay, which was significant money when they went to an IPO. So that's my marketing. And so that's my way of marketing to a specific group and getting in front. And by the way, for the last 2 times that I've been there, I've had another company buy my book and give the book to everyone with a book plate in it. And I did a book signing after my speech. And I brought the client who paid for that in, and Intel was happy with that. So, things like that. You shouldn't do this. I cringe when I hear people say you must, you cannot, you're stupid if you do. And I think you're stupid if you do it the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. What else is on the do's and don'ts, tips and traps list?
Well, oh man, there's so many. There's so many of them. I just really get back to the conditions of satisfaction. If you don't know what you want out of the business, then how are you going to get there? You know what? Another one for the speaking business, and for those that want to get into television, or those that want to, be global business celebrity, whatever. What is it that you want? You want fame, or do you want fortune? Which I think is a good way of being able to describe. For a lot of speakers, a lot of people, they really want fame. I say concentrate, for me personally, on fortune, because if I make a lot of money and I do what I do well, I get known for that, which gives me the fame. And if I don't, I can buy it, and that's what I tell a lot of folks, that's one of the things you should do. So figure out what you want to do. Some people want to, hug trees and, change the world. I enjoy that. If that's a benefit or an after effect of what I do, awesome, great. That's not usually my intent. My intent is to motivate and drive and do the things I do as a speaker.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about C-Suite TV, because one of the things that, as I'm observing all these fabulous things that you're doing, C-Suite TV has so many collateral benefits, not collateral damage, but collateral benefits. So number one, our friend Jay Baer talks about speaker as media company. Well, you are not only the media company, you're the media, you're the star, and you're the media company. Yeah. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is basically interviewing your prospects. Mm-hmm. And the second aspect is relationship building. Even if they're not prospects, they could become allies. They could become referral sources. They could become influencers in your world. The friendships develop. Initially business friendships become personal friendships. So talk about, whatever we're doing. We all have the capability of doing what we're doing right now, for example, interviewing people. Right. Now, I'm doing it on a smaller platform than C-Suite TV, but however, talk about kind of how it's a really win-win-win for all concerned. It's a win for you, for the people that you interview and that you showcase, and it's a win for your audience and your client base.
You said a smaller platform. I don't get caught up on that. I mean, look, back behind me is Bloomberg. I used to have a primetime television show on Bloomberg, and I took the show off the air. We took it off the air after we did 8 shows, which is one season, number one primetime show there was, number one show on Bloomberg. And now we're put that show online. Now, can we have more exposure to more people through broadcast? Yeah, you could say that, but yeah, we had more people watching us online than were watching us through broadcast. So it's really not about the eyeballs and ears. It's about the clicks. It's about the hearts and minds. It's about that one click that you need to someone to watch. So it doesn't have to be viewed by millions. It can be viewed by tens, if it's in front of the right audience. And so what most people miss is the step and repeat nature of content or media that you do as a speaker or you do as a content creator, is to take that piece. And it's like Henry Kissinger walking to a press conference and say, what questions do you have for my answers? And where you want to take it. So you want to use that. And there are many times, quite frankly, it's a great example you said of the relationships you built and prospecting building. I did an episode on Dunkin' Donuts. Now, Dunkin' is now one of the sponsors of my CBS podcast. It's significant money, okay? I get more money on that sponsorship than what most speakers earn in a year, to give you an idea, for my weekly podcast. And I've got numerous other sponsors for that show. And that was a relationship that I built to the TV show. And then that just, goes on and on and on. So that's a great, great example. So find a way, In C-Suite TV, we're looking for great content that wants to go to business audiences. And so we're looking for that content. We have C-Suite Radio. We have the C-Suite Book Club, which we've started. We've created Bestseller TV so that we can highlight authors, and some of it you get for free and some of it you got to pay for. because I'm looking to cover my costs. I'm an entrepreneur, but we haven't announced this, but I'll announce it on your show. We're moving to Apple TV, Roku, Hulu, Amazon Fire. So we're on all platforms. So not only, are we on your mobile phone, so you can come watch us here, watch us on the laptop, watch us online, but now we're going to be on the big screen too via those services.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. By the way, I love my Roku. Roku is awesome. I'm so glad that you're doing all the media boxes, the set-top boxes. That's great. Yep. Talk a little bit about accessibility, because here you are, you're in your hotel room, you're about to do some big, fabulous thing. On social media, you are a super accessible guy, super friendly, super responsive. In the real world, I'm guessing it is very tough to get on your calendar. So how do you balance your own very precious, very valuable time with the accessibility and the approachability that you genuinely have and that you want to project?
Yeah, it's a tough thing. My team will tell you that they think I do too much of that. And they believe I take on too many appointments that I shouldn't be and talk to too many people that will never get us anywhere, which is probably the case. But at the same time, David, I think if you've got a sense for the last couple of years, I like to give back, and I like to be somebody help me. I used to sit in the back of the room when I went to NSA. I sat in the back of the room with Zig Ziglar and Bill Brooks and Brian Tracy and some of the greatest speakers in the world when I was 25, 26, 27-year-old. And they helped me because I learned from them. I didn't go to many sessions because I used to sit in the back of the room and just listen to those people. Al Walker, Terry Paulson, I used to do all that kind of stuff. So, I do spend more time today saying, what would you like to get accomplished? Okay. So I try to define what it is. Sometimes they'll say, hey, I want to have a cup of coffee. Well, I used to never drink coffee. So I used to say, I don't drink coffee. What do you want? Now I do drink coffee. So I say, look, I got to do more than just drink coffee. It's nice. If we want to drink coffee, catch me at the next NSA convention, catch me at the next social event, and we'll catch up socially. I don't have time because I go to 2 or 3 events a night. And especially when I'm in New York, so because that's prospecting for us, that's work, that's visibility, that's me on the red carpet, that's me, contributing to our brand, or it's me interviewing people, whatever we have to do. So we do spend more time. Again, does it, and by the way, go back to the inverted pyramid. Does it get in? Does it fit one of my categories? If it doesn't fit one of my categories, I like you, but I'm going to miss you.
Right. Exactly. Well, and again, this is straight from the book. If you need help, ask. And if someone asks, answer. And that answer is not always yes, but that answer is that you'll do what you can, when you can. You're always happy to help and serve.
Yeah. And sometimes, it's hard to say no, but you got to say no. I mean, I can't help everybody. You can't do that. If, there's people drowning, you only have so many spots on the lifeboat. There's only so many spots you can pick. So it'd be great, but, you got to make choices in life.
Yeah, absolutely. So final couple of questions. The last question is, how can people stay in touch with you and connect with C-Suite TV and the book club and executive perspectives and all that great stuff? Before we get to that, let's look at the mid-career speaker, executive, thought-leading entrepreneur, author, etc. A lot of people are plateaued. Maybe they're making a couple $100,000 a year, but they're not getting the big stages. They're not on TV. They're not big on social media. They're sort of, it's almost like they've been sabotaged by their initial taste of success. How do you break through that? Or what do you need to reboot or rethink or reimagine to be able to think big and act bigger when you've already had a little bit of success, but you're flatlining?
Yeah, by the way, don't think that TV is going to get you to success, because it's not. It's going to waste a lot of your time. You don't make a lot of money. You don't make a lot of money if you get your own show. I mean, you make about 10% of the production costs. So if it costs you $66,000 to produce an episode, you're going to make $6,000 for 3 days. Right? I just want to get you, get very clear to people that you're not going to make a lot of money like that. And the exposure isn't just going to lead to what you want. So I just want to say that. I know that. I don't have a million people call me, hey, I saw you on television. I want to hire you. You have to put the opportunity in front of them. Now, if you plateaued and you've been doing all this, you've been doing this, you've been doing this, you're not getting different, how about change it? Do something freaking different, okay? That's really what you got to do. And you got to do more of it. It's like I use my people in my office. They say, what's cold in the office? I say, well, work harder. You'll warm up. It's the same kind of thing here. If you're plateaued, then you've got to push to get above it. You got to do something different, mix it up, change it up. Time to reinvent, your look, your feel. Time to add some new content to what you're doing. How about start Twittering because you weren't doing that before? How about, engage in the conversations, engage in where you want to go. That's what you got to do. It's not that difficult, man. It's right there in your book. Go get the book. Do It Marketing. It's right back there. I can see it. Yeah, right there. That's the book. Go get that one and think big, act bigger, of course. But Do It Marketing right there, man.
Right.
Hey, we were separated at birth, quite frankly. One of us got looks and one of us got brains, and we're never going to tell people which is which.
I like that. We will totally keep that under wraps. We'll totally keep that secret. So, final question for my friend Jeff Hayzlett. How do people get more Jeff, more C-suite TV, more executive perspectives, more content, more social media? How do we stay connected to you so we can stay inspired to think big, act bigger, kick ass, and take names?
Called freaking Google, all right? It's just Hayzlett. Go look at Hayzlett.com. You can find everything from there. But you go to C-Suite Network, you go to C-Suite TV, C-Suite Radio, C-Suite Book Club. All of those are our sub-brands of our entire network. You're going to see a lot more about the network as we're rolling it out over the summer of 2016. We have about 25,000 executives already involved in it today. We're reaching over, 1.5 million to almost 2 million executives through our media each and every month, which is awesome. And we're just really going to start ramping up. We're going to add zeros to help us be one of those and get involved. And there's lots of places for people who have content to come involved, and we'd love to get your content. We've got different roles that we're going to be announcing that people can play in that. You can certainly, if you got a book, we want to do bestseller, or just list your frickin' book. If you list your book on our website, it's that simple. You just go there, register it, and you list it. And by the way, we give everybody this marketing kit. I've read your book and I've read other books, and I know the smarts. What we do is we give them things that they can go and implement when they list their book. And I just tell people, if you do that, you'll sell thousands of copies.
Absolutely right. And I have to say, full disclosure, because I love this, my book is listed. I've got on my book website the nice little black and green logo for C-Suite Book Club. Yeah. I was lucky enough to be with you on stage doing an episode of Executive Perspectives. So the empire is just growing. And the beauty of it is that you're building a community and you're sharing your platform. And if people want to get in on that at the free level, awesome. If they want to get in on the paid level, which is a lot more value, a lot more exposure, a lot more leverage, like 10 times more, they can do that, but they don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. But the good news is you get benefit from that. Hopefully you've liked the manual that we just recently I wrote it. I sat down and wrote it with the team. I got tired of it because everybody was saying, well, what should I do? How should I do this? How should I tweet? What should I tweet? What should I post? I said, put it up on the screen. And I said, now take this. And then I dictated it over 2 days with one of our team members, and we put it together. It's awesome. And I know that, some authors have done the C-Suite Book Club, and we've had them speak on our stage. That's what we do. We pull from that community. So again, we step and repeat the people who are trying to make it and be bigger. And if you're trying to be bigger, we want you. We want to help you, and you help us. That's the way it works, okay? You don't get anything for free. I don't give a crap what you say. It's never for free.
That's one of my favorite concepts. My nickname for that is why your business needs to flop, which is feature and leverage other people. So feature is the give and leverage is the get, right? Feature and leverage other people. And, C-Suite TV and the whole book club, the whole C-Suite empire, the conferences is a beautiful model of featuring and leveraging other people.
I can tell you, Sylvia D'Agosto, you know her, and Ron Parr, Shep Hink, Tony Alessandra, all these guys have told us the gigs they've got as a result of being on stage or just being at the book signing event. And then we do some workshops where we break them out in breakout sessions, and the breakout sessions are unbelievable because that's where the execs that we have, and we're talking about 27% of our audience comes from billion-dollar companies or greater. 22% of our audience comes from 100 million, or what we call mid-cap market, mid-cap to $1 billion, and 51% of our audience is between 5 million to 100 million in revenue. And those are the execs we have. And I can tell you how many are CEOs, how many are COOs, how many are presidents, how many are CMOs, and so forth. And we pull from that entire range, and it's all there. It's all there. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Closing words of wisdom from Jeffrey Hayzlett. what's the closing thought, the capstone idea that you'd like to leave in people's brains?
Take a risk. No one's going to die. If you make a mistake, and you're going to make mistakes, so what? So what? I don't care what business you're in, except for if you're operating on me, no one's going to die. So that's the biggest advice I can give to you.
Love it. There you go. All right, my friend. Thank you as always. Awesome to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.